All right, you ready? We're going to talk about abandonment wounds. My voice, oh my god. Apparently, my throat chakra was like, not today. We're going to talk about abandonment wounds and imposter syndrome and lessons that I learned through going through the eclipse. Before we get into all that, I do want to say that when I wanted to become a spiritual coach, okay, I was really, and I want to say this because I feel like somebody maybe it's you needs to hear this today, okay? Or if you want to be a life coach or an energy healer or content creator, you know, whatever avenue that you want to get into. When I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about? Because I was at the beginning stages of like public speaking, and it really hindered me for a long time because I was like, oh, I don't know enough. I'm not a teacher. I'm not an expert, you know, all these different things. And then one day I came across this spiritual guide, mentor, if you will. His name is Victor Odo. Definitely recommend checking him out. He's awesome. He helped me a lot in my life. But he literally just talked about his life. Like all of the things that he was experiencing on his ascension journey, all of the triggers and the behavioral patterns and the wounds and how he was traversing through those, and then was giving advice based off of the things that he was implementing into his own. And when I watched his, I was like, oh, is that easy? And sometimes it's easy, okay, because it takes a lot of vulnerability and authenticity in order to do that. And in the beginning stages, that was a lot to work through, especially as an Aquarian who, or you know, somebody who had been through PTSD and trauma and had always been told, oh, you're too sensitive, or, you know, vulnerability is a weakness, or we're not allowed to show our emotions. Like when I was a kid, it was a lot to work through, but I will say that it is that easy. I have made a whole entire business out of it, of just coming on, crying in my car. Not all the time, but crying in my car and just saying like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, and then this is what has helped me. And it resonates with people because when you are wanting to create a community or work with clients, what you're searching for are younger versions of you energetically, okay? Because maybe y'all haven't been on the exact same path, but it's very similar, the wounds that y'all have experienced. And so it actually is so much easier to work in these realms and lead other people when you are speaking from your heart space and your soul, and you're just like, yep, this is what's going on with me. And this is how I'm healing myself, because then you can just take those same tools and resources and apply them to others. Now, is it always the same in tools and resources? No, because everybody is a beautiful individual. That's why it's very important to continue your your education and making sure that you're picking up of multitudes of ways to expand and grow and heal. But the people who are meant to be in your realm will find you, and they'll resonate with what you're saying because you're continuing to work on self and be self-aware and glean more tools and resources. So now let's get into what I came here to talk about. And hello, my name is Sage Gwendolyn. I am a spiritual coach, an Akashic healer, quantum healer, and my mission is to help you reach higher levels of consciousness, connect to your multidimensionality, and remember your magic. And if you resonate with this message, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification ding. And if you want to work one-on-one, all of the information is in the description below, and my 4-month mentorship program is currently open, The Alchemist Journey. And you can also find additional energy readings and healings below. Okay, so I went to a spiritual conference during the eclipse, and I was part of the support team, and it was absolutely amazing. I loved every minute around it, being around all these high vibe people who are on the same wavelength. And before I went, I had this really heavy feeling of, wow, I'm about to experience a lot of unconditional love because I'm going to be seen and heard, and I have unconditional love in my life right now, but I knew that on that magnitude, it was going to be a lot for my inner children and teens, because we did not feel that way when we were younger. And I could already feel them kind of getting in panic, even thinking about it. And I had expressed that to one of my friends, Kimberly, and she helped talk me through it, or helped talk my inner children and my teens through it, which I appreciate. And when I get there, that's exactly what the experience is. Okay, it is so much unconditional love. But before the conference started, we went to someone's home. Beautiful, gorgeous. Oh my gosh. I was like, yes, this is gonna be me, living in this beautiful space, not in her space, but just like that space of life. And so I was sitting around the table with a lot of people, and they were discussing some topics that I really didn't have a whole lot of information on, because it's not my realms that I work within, even though I was thoroughly enjoying what they were talking about. But I was like, I don't know exactly all the ins and outs. And my inner children started to get very triggered. And I don't know if you've had this happen before, where you are experiencing something in real time and your inner children and teens are experiencing something completely different, and you're sitting here having a conversation with people and needing to mitigate what's going on with them inside of yourself while you're having a conversation with people. And so I was speaking to them and I said, hey, just because they are experts in something else does not invalidate you being an expert in your own field. Okay, because I have beautiful gifts to offer. I have lots of wisdom and knowledge, and it goes back to those feelings of not feeling seen and heard as a child. And I was like, that's not what this is, okay? We are here to learn and grow and evolve, and we don't want to be the experts in everything, because then life would be super boring, like if we just knew everything, right? And what a lovely experience to hear different people's perspectives and learn things that we've never heard before. Like, that's exciting, okay? We've actually been kind of feeling in a rut lately, because it's like I'm just revolving in the same worlds over and over again. I was like, this is great. This is exactly what we have been asking for. Let's take some time to like really appreciate that we're here. And after we left and we were going to our Airbnb, I was talking to Kimberly, my friend, and I was telling her how I was feeling, and she was reiterating the same things that I had said to my inner children and teens. And I was like, yeah, it's not even like I'm currently experiencing, it's them. Okay, it's PTSD and trauma from the past that, I've continuously been working on in my life, but it still comes up because lots of years, okay, lots and lots of years of feeling that way. And so, we always want this stuff to be absolved immediately, but sometimes it takes years. It takes being triggered. Like, that had to happen in order for me to take another layer off, okay? And the level at which I got triggered was so much less than I had in the past. And so I also had a conversation with these younger versions and telling them like, hey, look how amazing we handled this. Like, y'all trusted me and were listening to me, and we didn't go into full panic mode. We didn't go into catastrophizing land. We didn't start delving super deep into imposter syndrome. Like, it came up, but we were able to handle it pretty easily. And I was just telling them how proud I am of them. Oh, okay. The tears are starting to come up. How proud of them that I am, how proud of me that I am, because you have to have the contrast to see how much you've grown. And so that happened in divine alignment, right? And what was so funny is somebody who was at the table, we were talking about how inner child healing is the way. Like, that is the key to most everything, including healing in your spiritual gifts. But a lot of people skip over that, or they don't understand the importance of it. And this person was saying like, yeah, it's like I'm working on things and I'm doing great, and then all of a sudden abandonment wounds are hitting me in the face again, and I thought that I had taken care of it. And I was like, yeah, those abandonment wounds can be real deep sometimes. What I didn't realize is I was getting a ping from my higher self that also was going to affect me at the conference. And so we'll get into that as well. But yeah, the things are meant to come out just so you can dive deeper into self. And if you're somebody who helps other people, the deeper that you dive into yourself, the deeper you can dive in with them as well. So on the day of the eclipse, I was, again, helping with things. And so we all went out to watch, and it was absolutely gorgeous. A lot of portals opening up in the sky, a lot of insights and downloads. And then immediately afterwards, I was going in to help serve lunch. And then I was helping with selling raffle tickets. And so I was kind of busy. And a lot of people were saying that they were having really big clear outs and purging while we were watching self-punishing during the Eclipse, and I was like, oh, I was kind of just vibing. Like, I was just having a good time, chilling. What I didn't realize is because I was helping and my mind was like pointed elsewhere, that my purging and clear out was about to happen. I didn't realize it. And so after I finally was able to sit down and I was listening to one of the amazing speakers there, I started getting so incredibly triggered. I started having these wildly intrusive thoughts about myself and about somebody else. I had gotten triggered because I thought that this person didn't like me, and not necessarily like in a romantic way, but just it was just feeling like this person don't like me. And I started going down this rabbit hole of why, like why are they having these feelings towards me? And one of the reasons that I thought that was because I had tried to speak to this person a couple times and they didn't really give me back the conversation that I had anticipated. And I was talking to my inner children because I knew this was coming from them. Okay, because we have worked through so much masking and people pleasing and living under people's expectations and feeling like everybody has to like us. And I was explaining to them, inner children, what does it matter? Like, why do we care? There are literally so many people here that are like hyping us up and showing us so much love, but as humans with our ego, we tend to focus on the negative in the like 1% of things. And I said, this person has a lot going on right now. And I said, we need to look in the mirror, okay? Because when I get overstimulated, I do the exact same thing. I check out. I'm like, I cannot take anything else. I cannot take any conversations right now. I like literally, I need to be in my own bubble so I can get back to my homeostasis point. Like, I just completely disconnect. And I was like, we do that. So who are we to judge somebody for doing that? And my inner children were like, oh yeah, we do that, right? And having those conversations also of like, why does it matter? Like, we're not everybody's cup of tea. Like, that is totally fine. Like, whatever, right? Like, just like not everybody's our cup of tea. It doesn't mean anything about them. It doesn't mean anything about us. Sometimes people are on different frequencies. I was like, this is probably not even anything having to do with us at all anyway. Okay, this is our abandonment wounds coming up of saying like, oh, we have to be loved, we need that external validation from everyone, right? We have to regulate other people's feelings, thoughts, emotions, and moods. It's a safety trauma response is what they were doing, right? And so it just kept getting worse and worse. Like, they were getting so incredibly loud and taking over my consciousness, if you will, not like a robot or anything, but just not allowing me to be the voice of reason. Okay, as the adults. And I was like, okay, we need to go on somewhere and get this under control. I said, what's about to start happening is I'm going to start projecting onto people my abandonment wounds. And I said, I'm going to start crying, and then I'm going to start telling people what's wrong. I mean, there wasn't anything wrong. I was like processing through stuff, but I was going to start, and then they're going to try and start validating me. And I was like, if we go down that hole, we are going to do what old Sage would have done. And I don't want to do that anymore. I have done that so many times in my life, and we have healed through that, and we're going to make a different choice right now. And so I started like tearing up, and I said, okay, I'm going to go outside and get some fresh air. So I went on the side of the building and I put my back up against it, and I just started bawling. Okay. And like crying, because it's not me. It's years and years and years of not being seen and heard and understood, and for people treating me some type of way. And honestly, all of that even has to do with my own self-love and my own self-concept. Like, I attracted a lot of things in my life because I was not diving into the depths of me and healing what I needed to heal. But honestly, it's not my fault either, just like it's not a lot of other people's fault, because you just don't know. You like, we don't understand how programming works, how manifesting works, all of these different esoteric things until one day you do, and then you wake up and you start, changing the things in your life. Okay, so I wasn't angry with him or upset. I was like, thank you for telling me what's going on so that we can look at it. And so I said, I have to have, I need to get out of here. Like, I need to go because we are about to have a whole entire meltdown. Okay. And so I asked my friend Kimberly if I could drive her car back to our Airbnb, and she was like, yeah, of course. And so I went back. I'm so glad that I did, because when I went, as all the way there, I was just crying my eyes out. And when I got there, I got inside and I laid on the couch, and I was crying so hard that I was almost throwing up. It feels like energetically throwing up, not like physically throwing up. And the tears would not stop coming out. And I was asking my inner children, why do you feel abandoned right now? Where is that coming from? I said, we're surrounded by so much love right now. And that was actually not the problem, but what was triggering me, because I was surrounded by so much love, and I knew that the conference was coming to an end, but not only the conference, like hanging out with my friends, and all these different things. And they're like, our family's about to get ripped away from us. We have not felt this way on this level before, of so many people just reflecting that love towards us, and it's getting ripped in like 2 days. And I was like, okay, first of all, I said, this is not the only representation in our life. Okay, we have so many beautiful community members and soul tribe members, and I don't have like a ton of people in my 3D like experience around me in my regular schmegular day, but I said, we have so many different connections. And I said, this is just the beginning. Like, they're like, yeah, but they're all online and they're in different states. And I said, we got ourselves here. We manifested this. Okay. We manifested being around all of these people that collectively came together. I said, why do you think that this is going to be our only opportunity? I said, this is just the beginning. Like, we just opened the portal door. Okay. And I said, we are even creating our own retreat next year in Sedona. I said, we are hand selecting people that we want to enjoy this experience with, right? And I said this, and they were thinking it was the end, and I was having to explain, no, this is the jump. Okay, this is the new timeline. This is the new version of ourselves. This is the new identity. This is who we have been working on becoming all of these years. This is the payoff. This is when our life really takes a big pivot and really just soars off into like these higher etherical realms. Okay? And so when I explained that to them, they're like, oh. And I said, yeah. And I said, how could you feel abandoned when you have me? Okay, we're gonna tears about to come up, but we are never separate from love, from unconditional love. I said, we have spent so much of our life looking for external love outside of us, when what we really needed was love from self and trust from self. That inner knowing that, hey, we got ourselves here. Okay, we will do it again in multitudes of forms. But at the end of the day, there's nothing outside of us that is going to make us feel safe and secure. There is nothing outside of us that is going to make us feel that deep love that we need. That comes from us. So after having this chat, I could just feel years worth of PTSD and trauma lifting up, because I had spent so much of my life like pushing all of that stuff down. Okay, and it's been so many years of me being on this ascension journey and looking at the pain, processing the pain and the emotions and just all of this heaviness within myself, and it has been exponentially paying off. Because I feel like I'm yelling, my apologies, but when I first started doing this type of work, like inner child and teen work, I could only do it for like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, it was so intense, sifting through memories and just my central nervous system being activated in fight or flight, and it's a lot. And now it's like I can hear them very clearly. I know when it's not something that's coming from me, it's coming from them. I know how to take a pause and go within and say, hey, what's going on? Okay, we need to talk about this and let me help you process through it, because it's not mine. Okay, it's coming from things that were not healed previously. So let's take a moment to heal them together, and actually cultivating and creating the time and space to do that. Because after I got done processing in the Airbnb, I felt like a completely new person because of so much trauma and PTSD that was released in that moment. Okay, and from coming from unconditional love from self. And I was explaining to them too, I said, how incredibly beautiful that we were triggered by that other person. Thank goodness. I was like, how much do we love them? How amazing that it has nothing to do with that person, if that makes sense, because it was our own projections. it was a narrative that we were creating in our own minds. And so I was like, we need to etherically have a conversation with that person's higher self and that person's inner children and tell them, thank you so much. I love you so much. I apologize about those projections because that's something that I needed to work out on my end. And thank you so much for providing the space for that. And in doing that, that was another thing that my inner children and teens needed as well, is learning not to project things onto others and creating these narratives. And also giving an apology for that as well, because everybody projects onto other people, right, in some form or fashion. And so even if you're not saying to that person, because this person didn't even know like what was going on, right, but having them go through that lesson and even just doing it etherically brought me and brought them so much peace. And so that's something that we'll continue to do in the future as well. And so I got myself together and then went back to the conference, and I had such an amazing time. I just felt so light and happy and free, and my whole entire mood shifted, and I was having great conversations with people, and it was wonderful. And I knew that if I let myself catastrophize and not look at what is going on, we would have had a completely different experience. I said, oh no, baby, we are not doing that today. Okay, said, we need to alchemize, we need to transmute, I need to show y'all some really deep love, I need to hype you up, you need to remember who you are, okay, and I love you so much for this experience, even though it was really scary, it was really intense, it did bring up a lot of emotions. Great. That's life. Okay, and when we learn to work through those things, it just completely changes our whole entire life experience. So it was a big blessing. Okay, and I know that it can be really intense experiencing these things, especially when it is really heavy PTSD and trauma. And there was a time in my life where I was just digging so hard for all of this stuff because I was in so much pain and angst. I was like, I will do whatever it takes. And I was just doing so much shadow work all the time. And I realized that I was actually keeping myself in old states of being and old frequencies that were no longer serving me because I was coming from a place of, oh, there's something wrong with me. And then I woke up one day and I said, you know what? Instead of doing all this digging, I am going to trust myself. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to take it day by day. I'm not going to sit here and overanalyze myself and punish myself. That was another lesson I had to learn too, that I was speaking with them of like, y'all are so quick, even me, but my inner children and teens are so quick to punish self for the way that we act and the way that we feel and the way that we speak and the way that we interact with others. To try and justify our self-worth and being good enough for our manifestations and having a good life. I said, we are not doing that anymore. No. Okay. After today, after this eclipse, no. We are taking it day by day. If there's shadow stuff that comes up, if there's PTSD and trauma, if there's memories and our emotions, great. We'll work through it in that time, okay, or at least later in the day. Okay, we'll make time for that, but I'm not going to consistently dig because we have done that for years and years and years. I'm over that. There's a time and place in everyone's journey, but we have done so much like, we cannot be on the hamster wheel of healing forever. Oh, it's 11:11 on my phone. That's great conversation. But we cannot be on the hamster wheel. We're just going to take it day by day, let it come, work on it, and keep it pushing. And that's exactly what we did when this conference thing came up. I was like, okay, let's go. And then we worked through it, and I was like, okay, now let's get back to it, back to the conference. And that worked great. And every time they had like some more thoughts come up about like, oh, I can't believe I thought this, or no, we're not self-punishing. We're not doing that. We just had a whole energy clear out, healing at the Airbnb. We're done. Okay, now we can focus on joy and magic and whimsy and prosperity and abundance and pushing forward, because we just worked through a huge lesson, and I'm so proud of y'all, and I love you, and how amazing are we. Like, that is going to do so much for us and other people as well. Okay, because that's the energy that we really want to be projecting from our field. And I'm not going to sit here and do lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson. That's punishment. That is not the path that we want to be on. Okay, we want to be in acceptance mode and celebration mode of what we just accomplished through that purge out. Okay, so I wanted to share this in case it helps you on your journey. I have a lot of people ask me how I do inner child healing and teen healing on self or with other people, and so having these explanations, like in real-time explanations, feels very supportive to me, at least for others. And if you did resonate with this video, I would love if you could like and subscribe and hit that bell notification. It helps my content get out to more light workers in the world, and I would love to hear if this message resonated with you. Let me know in the comments.